The government needs more money, your money. So, if you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt. For a free consultation, call Tax Network USA today at 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com. I want to get in first, though, with this, what's happening with this Epstein thing. So we were going to bring it up yesterday, but there was things coming out that I wanted to make sure that we waited on just because I was frankly a little distracted with H-1Bs, which I think is a way bigger deal than what, some emails that the Democrats released. So essentially, here's the backstory. James Comer had subpoenaed these documents in August from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. During the shutdown, these get sent to House Oversight. House Oversight gets them. Oh, do we have Blake, by the way? Blake, are you standing by remote? The studio didn't give me. There he is, Blake. He's looking. There he is.
He's researched Blake.
He's hard at work.
That was perfect. That's exactly how I imagine Blake most of the time. I don't know if he can hear us or not. So here's the deal. They subpoena these documents. They get them during the shutdown. And the Democrats end up releasing select emails, okay? And when they do this, and they're redacting the victim's name. Now, the Democrats are going to say they were mandated to do this, but these documents already existed elsewhere. We already knew who the quote-unquote victim was, and she was a victim, Virginia Giuffre. But we already knew because they were corroborated with other document drops. So we knew this was Virginia Giuffre, and the emails go like, I want you to realize this is Jeffrey Epstein to GMAX. I'm not exactly sure who this is, but I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, Virginia Giuffre, spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc., etc. So, and I believe this could be Wolf, if I'm not mistaken, which is a New York Times guy that was basically acted as a consultant. So you got a journalist, quote unquote, working with Jeffrey Epstein. So another one, victim at Mar-a-Lago. Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member. Of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So, okay, Trump asked. This is from 2019. That's another one they released. And then Michael Wolff. I think you should let him hang himself, in reference to Trump. This is from 2015 to Jeffrey Epstein. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course,
Blackmail.
It is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. So this is what's wild. So we get all of this stuff. Hey, Blake, are you there? Can you hear us? There he is.
I don't know. I'm okay. Does it work now? All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
We're having a. Is it Michael McCoy now? I feel like I don't even know him anymore.
All right. Hold on. We're going to save that for later.
Is that?
We're going to save that for later. So basically, here's the deal, though, Blake. These emails were selectively released by the Democrats. But the victim we already knew was Virginia Giuffre. And here's what we know about Virginia Giuffre. They redacted her name. She has exonerated President Trump, saying that she never saw him do anything. Her dad is now on record saying that she wanted him to be president because he was going to release the information on Epstein. This is a complete and utter nothing burger from what I can tell.
Well,
Blake,
it's not a total nothing burger, because what we are also getting is, and this is really funny, we're getting a lot of other emails. So we're getting, Larry Summers, the former president of Harvard, and we're getting his emails with Epstein, which, if nothing else, are really funny. There's a few exchanges that are very funny. One is where he sends a message to Epstein where he says, is it true that Donald Trump uses cocaine? And Epstein just replies, hey, could I have Harvard give a guided tour from the development office, the fundraising office? Could they give a guided tour of Harvard to this like Rothschild heir that I know? And he's like, oh yeah, I could set that up. And so that was very funny. And then there's also one where it's Larry Summers. There's really no other way to describe this. He's, as a 60-plus-year-old male, is talking about how he's trying to date this woman, and she's giving him these mixed signals, and like, oh, she like invited this other guy. It's like reading an eighth grader or something talk about women, and it's the former president of Harvard who I can't remember, did he get a Nobel Prize in economics? Something like that. So it's not a nothing burger. We have a lot of funny emails that we should highlight instead.
Well, Larry Summers was the director of the National Economic Council and the chief White House economic advisor during Obama. So he's not nobody. And actually, he predicted rightly that the overstimulation of the economy under Biden was going to spark inflation. So he's not a dumb guy. But these are people that Epstein was interacting with at a massive level. But I want to play some of these clips here for us because now we have a ton of new information about just how much of an own this was. Guys, get me the clip on the dad. There's too much in here now. I can't find it. Here we go. All right. Let's go ahead and play 288.
She wanted Trump to be president. It was because he campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. And she was excited about that. So, yes, we talked about Trump a lot.
As a crusader to release the Epstein files, in that sense.
She was very excited that he had made that one of the main planks of his campaign, and she felt validated by it.
But she never talked about him in any sense that he was involved in any of this.
No, he was not, as far as she knew. And again, she was there for 2+ years. But as far as she knew, he was not involved in the ring of trafficking that Epstein was working.
Yeah, so it's not Guthrie talking herself; it's someone talking about her. Get me the name of who that is, by the way, guys. But this is somebody obviously in the know that knew Virginia Guthrie and basically said she wanted to elect Trump. Trump was not implicated in any of this scandal. We're talking about the Epstein nothing burger. I'm going to call it a nothing burger, but Blake is right. There are funny and interesting things like Larry Summers exchanges. There's also accusations by Jeffrey Epstein that he was somehow spending Thanksgiving with President Trump. But then we look at the flight logs and the travel logs during 2017 when this allegation is made and President Trump is doing official business. He's also spending Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago, which Jeffrey Epstein was banned from Mar-a-Lago in 2007, which leads to the whole point, is that this all reads as some elaborate hoax. Jeffrey Epstein's obviously lying. He hates Donald Trump because Donald Trump was one of the few people in this elite upper tier of society that basically called him out as the creep and the criminal that he was, banned him from Mar-a-Lago. Alex Clark, what do you think?
Well, that's exactly what I was saying the whole time you were saying this. I was like, why is he writing this in the emails when everyone in this circle of Palm Beach knows that Trump was like the one person to go toe to toe with him and be like, you're a weirdo. Stop hitting on these young girls. And I think President Trump is a father. He's very protective of his daughters. I think he could see him for what he was from the get-go, and was very quick to call that out.
Well, maybe not from the get-go, but eventually he figured it out. And Trump, he said he got pissed off because they were stealing his employees from Mar-a-Lago. He didn't like that, and it creeped him out. And he warned him a couple times to knock it off and get out of there.
Yeah. I mean, I keep drawing the line back to 2024. They tried to put President Trump in jail for 500 years. They tried to cripple his empire. They tried to cripple him financially. They came after his family, tried to put his family in jail. When none of that worked out, they tried to kill him. This is like the 5th time on the Epstein stuff with President Trump.
The walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in. But now, no, this is really important though. There's actual work being done. I just pulled this up. Operation Dirtbag. ICE arrests over 150 criminal aliens and sex predators in Florida crackdown. That was today. That was this week that happened. So this administration and President Trump are going after actual sex predators.
But you didn't hear about it.
This is the 5th time around on this.
You didn't hear about it on purpose. This whole thing is Operation Get Distracted, because they lost bad on the shutdown.
Yeah.
And so they held this thing, they put it in their pocket. They didn't coordinate with the Republicans on the House Oversight Committee. None of that. They just released 3 selective emails that all sort of made Trump, like death by innuendo is how Bill O'Reilly's putting it. And that's exactly right, because here we have Ghislaine Maxwell said Trump didn't do anything. You had, I'm just blanking on his name, Professor Dershowitz, who talked with Epstein and said, did Trump do anything? No, he didn't do anything. And you had Virginia Guffey say Trump didn't do anything. This is all a cheap optics scam. And guess who's running with it? Well, sadly, we have to talk about it because we have to clear President Trump's name. But guess who else is talking about it? All the media apparatchiks across the spectrum. Guess what? They're not talking about how the Democrats got absolutely hosed in the shutdown. They dragged the country through the mud for 40-plus days. And guess what else they did? They lost the economy, about $1.5 trillion in GDP, just by shutting down the government.
Yeah.
All of that carnage is now, they instantly flip the page like it never happened because they lost bad.
Yeah, and we also need to just kind of acknowledge that this is Democrats taking advantage of conservatives in our infighting right now. We have a fractured coalition. There's a lot of infighting on the right. We just got pummeled in the most recent election. We're not looking great coming into the midterms. And so this is the left coming in at a fragile time for us on the right.
But a fragile time for them too, Mikey. That's the
fragile
point.
time for them too. So this is them trying to clear up the government shutdown L that they took. And then on top of that, this is them trying to take advantage of us in our infighting and
All right. I totally agree, but they're experts at it, and they have the media apparatchiks that'll play ball. I'm going to play cut 287. This is Jasmine Crockett getting owned on CNN about this redaction that was completely. It was all for show. It's just to make it look serious. 287.
The email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that, and can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
Okay,
but I'm just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually make sure that we are protecting victims. And obviously, she wrote a book. She told her truth.
Wait, so then she's admitting that we're telling the truth? That was weird. She's like, they're not telling the truth, but then like
She
explains
told
it.
her truth. That was left-coded language. She told her truth.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily Jasmine Crockett's truth is what she's trying to say, but listen.
She makes my head hurt.
Anytime Jasmine Crockett gets owned, I count it a win.
I think what's important to talk about when it comes to women and this idea of career versus family is that we are told, another lie that we are told by the feminist movement is that you can have a family anytime you want. That is not true. We cannot guarantee that. Even with different fertility technologies, it is not a guarantee that you will get pregnant with IVF. It is not a guarantee that you will get pregnant in any other way. And so you're telling women to wait till the very, very end of their fertility window to then attempt to try to have a family. Meanwhile, they've had a decade plus on birth control. You have no idea what hormonal issues are brewing underneath because you've been ignoring it and stifling any symptoms that you might be dealing with to let you know something's going on with the birth control. So then when it is time to get pregnant and have a family, you can't. You don't know why. You're spending $30,000 on IVF that may or may not work. It's just... When Charlie talked about the importance of family, and I know that made a lot of women sensitive, he wasn't doing it to be a bully. He was doing it from such a good, pure place in his heart, saying, I have experienced the best thing in life. I don't want you to miss it. It was a fatherly, loving warning to young women because he loves you so much that he's telling you the truth that culture isn't willing to tell you. And you know what? As much as I think it's frustrating, and I disagree with Kelsey Ballerini's reason for divorce, that's great that she made this song because she's being open and honest about maybe I made a mistake, and that could encourage other young women to think twice about their own selfish pursuits and mistakes that they could be making, putting career above a family when you have a very small window to be able to have a family.
Wow.
Well said. I love what you said that because listen, Charlie used to complain when he would talk about this topic because inevitably it would cause this huge uproar and he'd get write-ups on these pop culture outlets, you know, that
Yeah.
we usually didn't get write-ups on because, you know, oftentimes it would just be political media that would pick up Charlie stories. But when he would talk about this, it would become this huge uproar. And I remember we actually have the clip. It's basically the same thing he said, but he went on Laura, I think 2 nights before he was killed. And he said that, and Laura threw him this question because it was becoming like this big uproar again. And he's like, you could see him almost like roll his eyes. Like, every time I talk about this, Laura, like it becomes this huge thing. But I love what you said, was because he wasn't trying to be a bully. He was trying to say, I want the best for you. And if I don't just tell it to you straight, like, you're not going to like hear it, because nobody else is willing to do this because of the uproar. I'm willing to take the slings and arrows, and this is the truth.
I thought Joe Bob really did a great job yesterday on the show too, talking about this. He said, we started dating at 19, got married way later, and we had kids way later after that. He goes, once I had kids, I realized that how much life just doesn't really matter, and that is what matters in life. He goes, I would sooner go work at a Costco if it meant that I could be with my kids more often. And like, that statement from Joe Bob made me go home and tell Elizabeth, was like, we should get some
I need to call Elizabeth after this.
Welcome,